Okay, Assalamu alaikum. So today our topic of discussion is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Detailed summary. Jane Austen की बायोग्राफी और Pride and Prejudice के जो हैं कैरेक्टर्स, ये दोनों टॉपिक जो हैं वो कवर हो चुके हैं, अपलोड कर दिए इनकी वीडियोस, तो check them out and let's start today's video. Mr. and Mrs. Bennet have 5 daughters: Jane, Elizabeth, Mary, Kitty and Lydia. 5 बेटियों के ये नाम हैं, इम्पॉर्टेंट हैं, याद कर लें. Mrs. Bennet is in search of suitable suit for her daughters. A wealthy person, Mr. Bingley, comes to the estate of Netherfield Park in Longbourn. Mrs. Bennet wants one of her daughters to get married with Bingley. Bingley meets Bingley meets Jane, one of Mrs. Bennet's daughter, at a ball. He is spellbound when he sees Jane. Darcy, Bingley's friend, is discourteous to Elizabeth, Mrs. Bennet's another daughter. Jane and Bingley grow closer with the passage of time. Jane visits Bingley, and due to an illness, she has to stay at Netherfield. Her sister Elizabeth comes to Netherfield to attend her. Bingley's sister behave rudely with Elizabeth because Caroline Bingley loves Darcy. Bingley की बहन का नाम Caroline Bingley. Here Darcy and Elizabeth get the chance to understand each other. Elizabeth changes her mind toward Darcy and takes him as a snobbish man. Mr. Collins, a clergyman, visits the Bennets and searches for a suitable companion to marry with. Mr. Wickham, an army officer, also visits the Bennets. Elizabeth is impressed with the Wickham's charming personality. He tells Elizabeth a false story about Darcy. After listening to Wickham's story, Elizabeth is much prejudiced against Darcy. Mrs. Bennet announces in a party that Jane and Bingley are going to be married. Collins proposes to Elizabeth at the same time. Elizabeth rejects Collins' proposal. Collins proposes to Charlotte, Lucas, Elizabeth's friend. Charlotte accepts Collins' offer just because she wants financial security rather than love. Caroline Bingley's sister sent a letter to Jane in which she writes that her brother is going to marry Darcy's sister Georgiana. Elizabeth thinks Darcy and Bingley's sister Caroline have betrayed Mr. Bingley. Mr. and Mrs. Gardiner, Jane's aunt and uncle, invite Jane to London to get her out of distress. Elizabeth goes to see Charlotte and Mr. Collins. Here she gets an opportunity to understand Darcy. Darcy clears his position through a letter to Elizabeth by telling her that Wickham was a liar. Elizabeth comes to fact and becomes less prejudiced against Darcy. During a trip, Elizabeth goes to Pemberley, where she visits Darcy's magnificent estate. Here Darcy introduces Elizabeth to his family member. Bingley also comes there and tells Elizabeth that he is still interested in marrying Jane. Elizabeth comes to know through a letter from Jane about Lydia's elopement with Wickham. Elizabeth is worried that this incident may ruin the future of Bennet's sister. Soon Mr. Gardiner finds the eloped couple. When Wickham is asked to marry Lydia, he demands to be paid off his debt. Darcy fulfills Wickham's demands and thus marries Lydia. Darcy, along with Bingley, come to Netherfield. Bingley proposes to Jane. At the end, Darcy requests Elizabeth to marry him. Elizabeth accept the offer and they are tied in the knot of marriage। बस ये समरी है प्राइड एंड प्रेजुडिस की। बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग नावल है, जेन ऑस्टन का सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट नावल है। इनके सारे जितने भी नावल हैं वो रोमांटिक हैं, लव स्टोरीज़ हैं उनमें और बहुत ही मज़े के हैं। तो एटलीस्ट इनके सारे नावल जो हैं उनकी डिटेल समरीज़, उनकी सारी डिटेल्स जो हैं वो करेंगे। ओके, अल्लाह हाफिज़, स्टे ट्यून्ड।